have guns available in our public schools is preposterous, and I would never support anything that would allow that to happen.
That's a tough question. You know, we're coming off of the weekend and what happened up in St. Cloud, and somebody was there with a gun that helped perhaps save some people with their action. You know, I look at the police officers that do work in the schools. That's one person. You look at some of these schools that are quite large. I think I'm concerned with the schools and the school safety. I think I would like to see and learn more about what the schools do to protect the students. What is the procedure for, you know, lockdown in the school, or when the kids get in, how can people get in and who checks them? A little more research on it to see if the kids are truly safe in the school. You know, the guns are dangerous if they get in the wrong person's hands, but I don't know, somebody with a gun may be able to save a classroom of children too. So I need to do a little more research on school safety.
Well, this is one of the, and I know all of us have been out door knocking quite a bit over the last few months. Security and safety in schools or in our society is a big issue right now, and you did see it in St. Cloud. I had a couple experiences during Governor Plenty's administrations to visit post-school shootings. One was at Red Lake Nation, and the security guard was actually shot by the individual that caused the deaths. It's a tough, this is a tough topic. I think it has to be a local decision. I don't think this is something that's a one-size-fits-all, but I think it's a discussion that we're in a different time right now. And I don't want more guns in the schools, but I think the conversation has to be had.
We'll start with Mr. Applebaum here. Candidates often talk about compromise while campaigning. Can you tell us one issue you would break with your party on?
Well, I have broken with my party on many of the economic issues. You know, too often, and I feel inaccurately, Democrats are pegged as people who just want to keep raising taxes and spending money, and that's growing up in this community my entire life, spending time knocking on doors and meeting tens of thousands of people and representing everyone. For the past 2 years, I know that's not what people in our community want. We work very hard for the tax dollars that we contribute in our community and everywhere. So I have repeatedly voted against raising taxes, especially when it comes to families, seniors, veterans, small businesses, entrepreneurs, and the people that we really need to invest in and to get ahead and are really having a harder time than they should be already. So there is no need for us to make life more difficult for them, and I will continue to differentiate from my party when it comes to any sort of proposal or legislation that calls for making financial burdens more difficult for regular people.
Thank you. On that question, I think what I would be doing in facing my party would be, what does my district say? What does my district need? What are the concerns of the people in the district that I've been elected to represent? And as a result of how the district feels, there may be situations where I am going to have to go against my party because I promised to do what's best for the district. There's also situations where I feel strongly about eliminating tax on Social Security in Minnesota. We're one of the 6 states, I think, that still tax it. I know the Republican Party would also like to see that, but the reality of it is there's like $700 million, I think, that would have to be made up if you stop taxing Social Security. So that could have a little conflict there. I think we have to do what's right to keep people here in Minnesota and take care of our seniors too. So I need to know and learn more and more about the district and do what I can to take care of my district.
I agree with Patty. I was mentored by Congressman Jim Ramsey, who was a very popular U.S. Congressman for this area for 18 years and 10 years in the state Senate seat. Somebody who represented his district and was rewarded time and time again with some of the most votes in the whole country. So it's a matter of representing the district before politics. And so there are going to be issues from education to different areas. Certainly have my principles, but in the end, the district comes first. The school districts come first. So the conversation, the doors will always be open. This is not a situation that I am a person that loves engagement, loves partnerships, loves relationships, that you continue to build that trust and you have those conversations that when you have to step out and vote against your party, you do.
Well, I believe in bipartisan cooperation to the point where I actually have a Republican co-chair who is sitting in the room of my campaign. And I also have a Democratic campaign co-chair who is dedicated to public education. So, and I actually am running because I truly believe that we have to put people and good policy in front of the political point scoring that's been so detrimental to getting anything done in the state legislature. And I do think that that one of the things that I want to do is to just keep looking for common ground. Everybody faces the same issues. We have sometimes very different ways of approaching the problem. Sometimes they're not so different. And I watched Senator Klobuchar over and over and over cooperate on legislation that was very important to her district, on med tech legislation and healthcare legislation in general. And so I know that it can be done. And I too, without violating my core values, I will never compromise on civil rights. I will never compromise on human rights. I will compromise pretty much everything else after that. Is something that we can talk about and hopefully find common ground on. And so that would be my approach.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Meyer, we'll start with you. Do you believe there's a place for intelligent design in the classroom?
Well, I've been waiting for that one.
Oh, good, you're all prepared.
I did a little research on the last debate, and I noticed that question came up. And I did a little research on it, and I may be looking at the wrong sites on Google, but I believe in God and the creation theory, but I also believe in science. And if the project is to learn more about nature and what's been created and what goes into the molecules within something, I think that's great. That's expanding a person's mind if I go down that road with it.
Mr. Anderson.
I don't certainly expect the school districts to teach intelligent design. I think this is if it comes down to it, it's a local decision, but I don't expect the school district to teach this.
I believe in the separation of church and state, and I also believe in science, and I also am a person of faith. And I do not support teaching intelligent design in the classroom. I think that's something that would be taught in a parochial school or in Sunday school. And I believe that science should be taught in our schools.
I do not believe that intelligent design should be taught in our public school system, period.
Here's one that is kind of near and dear to my heart. Every other taxing authority and district in Minnesota, and there's about 60 different types, has the ability to increase levy rates without voter approval. That includes towns, counties, watershed districts, park districts, mosquito control commissions, sports facilities commissions, and so forth. Do you support allowing locally elected school boards to renew an existing operating levy at the same rate and duration without a public vote? And we'll start with Mr. Anderson.
I know this is an issue that school districts would like to have, but in my core principles, the voters have to have a choice. And when they have transparency on referendums, they have to have the ability to then renew them. So I oppose school districts having that ability.
So, I actually am in support of it, and I did some reading on it, and in 2013, 28 of 29 referenda renewals passed. That was 97% passage rate, and I think in 2015, 100% of renewals passed. So this is for renewals. This is not for new referenda. This is for renewals. And renewals cost a lot of money to administer an election, and it saves school districts a lot of money, and it saves the city a lot of money on the actual election. So because I do believe in transparency, and I think that for new referenda, that would be really important. I do also think, though, that there are some caveats with that, that it should be no longer than 5 years, and that the board has to authorize, have a written authorization for the renewal after a board meeting with public input. So I think that there are ways of doing this to make sure that the school board knows exactly what they're authorizing, and to make sure that the public has full disclosure and can provide feedback on their feelings about the referendum.
So I believe that these renewals should be allowed without a referendum for some of the reasons you've heard Deb articulate. Approximately 99% of all issues such as these get passed. You know, we talked about public school system obviously a lot tonight, and how we need more resources. Well, every single time that our renewal for a levy comes up, it costs anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 for the city of Minnetonka to administer an election. Then it costs the school boards another $10,000 to $20,000 to lobby and get their message out that, hey, this is something that you voted for before, and that the schools are expecting, that we need in order to deliver the type of services that you expect us to deliver to our students. So it's an inefficiency in the law right now that does not provide school boards with this authority, and every other group seemingly has this ability. So I think we should take a common sense approach and fix this.
I think voters should always have a say when it comes to spending tax dollars. And I think the question is too, when they have to go back and renew one of these, maybe people need to ask some questions and say, what if we accomplished, why do we need it, where are we going, what are the dollars involved? I think they need to be educated, and the people in the community need to be the ones that are going to make the decisions.
I've got two more questions here. So, Minnesota used to have something called the grad test, which was a final test that seniors took in order to graduate with a diploma. And it didn't matter, you know, what their GPA was up to that point or anything. And it was a required test. Would you support a high-stakes final test like the grad test as a condition for graduation? And start with, who started this time?
Is it my turn?
I think it's yours.
I actually think that those snapshot high-pressure tests are counterproductive, personally. I work in an institution of higher learning, law school, where traditionally you did always have those high-stake tests at the end of a semester or the end of the year, and everything rode on that. And at Mitchell Hamlin School of Law, we've changed that so that there are evaluations throughout the semester to make sure that students are on track and that they're understanding the material, which I think is a better way to monitor student success. And I'm fortunate to be a great test taker. My children are both great test takers, but other children do better if they just have evaluations throughout their school career and throughout the semester. And I think it's a much better way of monitoring success and ensuring success and making sure that we are that we are graduating children that have a full grasp of the material. So I think there are plenty of testing opportunities throughout the year, and with other kinds of standardized tests that would be able to help us determine if a student is ready to graduate.
Mr. Engel?
I agree with Deb that I cannot support a high-pressure, one-size-fits-all type of graduation test that every single student has to take in order to move on to the next level. She mentioned her work at Mitchell Hamlin. I attended law school, and in all of my classes, 100% of our grades were based upon our final exam. And I can tell you as a student, it was not very fun. It created for an especially tense atmosphere and very stressful, and didn't promote the type of culture that I think we want to promote in our public schools. And maybe, among other things, that's the reason people don't like lawyers, because that's the situation that they were educated in. But we can't replicate that in our public schools. Everyone learns differently, everyone has different needs, and it is unfair to cast a broad stroke on every single student in such a high-pressure, win or lose type scenario, and I won't support something like that.
Well, I think a little stress in somebody's life isn't so bad to have. I think kids need to learn that they're expected to succeed, they're expected to pass the test, they're expected to learn the material. I'm not in favor of this one big test at the end to move them on, but I think there should be testing. We used to call them finals, and you had to achieve in various grades and courses. So I think the evaluation of the students as they move along, as Deb said, I think is good. But I do think they should have an expectation that they're going to sit down and take a test, because as they go through their life, they're always going to have to sit down and be faced with some sort of test, whether it's in their job or if it's at college. So I think we need to prepare them for that.
Yeah, and I think we do need benchmarks. I think we need to make sure that our students are college and career ready. This is a critical situation here that we're talking about situations